Oh my, so what time do I have to stop, Mary?
Probably about 8:55.
I can do that. Ready? Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, what an opportunity to come here and be with you to break bread this morning and to provide you with a little story. Yes, I'm looking around the room. I see many familiar faces. It's great to be back with this EDMARC family. I also see a lot of faces that I've never seen before, and they haven't seen me. So to put it into context, yes, I retired from the Marine Corps, and I'm still trying to figure it out. October 1st was the day that I retired, and I have hair now. It's growing out, it's bangs, it's in my face, like it's like my 13-year-old son. I have facial hair, and they said, man, you're supposed to shave before you stand before a group of people. I said, who said? I can do whatever I want to do because of the freedom that America and its fabric provides. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to live my life to the fullest. Why? Because I've had a chance to see life in shortly. Too short, frankly. And I want to talk to you all about this experience for so many reasons. And the first of which would be because EDMARC truly provided us with the opportunity to find a new normal when we were on this journey that was so filled with pain, but it brought joy. And I want to share some of that joy. By way of introduction, the slide before you is my loving family. Of course, on the far left is my wife and I as we were married on the 4th of July in 1998 actually. We were high school sweethearts, and we went on to have 3 children thereafter. In the bottom center picture, you see Briley on the left, and Ainsley in the middle, and Camden on the far right. Briley is now a senior in high school at Princess Anne, and she's been accepted to her #1 pick, University of Wisconsin at Madison, where she wants to become, yes, I'm very happy about that. She wants to go forward and be a glaciologist. For all of you that are like, what did he just say? Well, she wants to look at glaciers and why they're melting fast, and it goes into the idea of climate change and other wild and amazing things. Camden on the far right, he played goalie in hockey from age 4 to 12. And anybody who knows anything about hockey knows that that is a commitment. Well, he decided he wanted to put his energy towards something else. So now he's involved with Xbox and Fortnite. And he no longer plays hockey, which for his mother and I was one of those first big challenges where you have to say, hey, encourage your children to follow their hopes and their dreams. And that's what we're doing, so no more hockey. Anyway, on the far right-hand side is the family there, all together, smiling, and in the center is us as well. We have this motto in our house, it's up there at the top, about measuring your life by those moments that take your breath away. And that's exactly what we've been doing. We're going to go to the next slide. I just want to kind of tell you a little bit of story here. I was getting ready to go to Iraq. I wrote a letter to Ainsley and Briley. Camden wasn't born yet. And I wrote in the letter to Ainsley specifically that I looked forward to coming home and to getting a chance to run in the backyard with her and sister. Of course, this was back in 2005, so Ainsley was 2. Well, what ended up happening during that deployment, however, is my wife would share with me little concerns that she was having about Ainsley's development. And those led her to go to the doctor. And when she went to the doctor, she learned a little bit more information as we started this journey. We'll go to the next slide. The angel was born, and then the doctors told us that she was not normal. Some of you that have been down this road have heard the not normal, or something isn't right, or something's wrong with your child. Such vulgar language, I think. In our case, however, we were able to find a diagnosis eventually, which was something called infantile neuroaxillary dystrophy. There's details on the slide. Today's speech is not about that dystrophy, but it is about the fact that she was given a terminal diagnosis. So I returned from a deployment, and we moved from Camp Lejeune to Virginia Beach. And when we arrived here, we started the process of establishing our physical therapists and occupational therapists, getting to know new doctors and new ways of life. Slide, please. And during that time, an athlete was born. We never knew it. She couldn't talk, she couldn't walk, but somehow she went for a run. On the August 16th of 2008, with a newly formed group called Team Hoyt Virginia Beach, Ainsley got to go run on the oceanfront of Virginia Beach. And when she did that, her face lit up, exactly like you see in these pictures. Lit up. And we knew immediately that this was going to be part of our new normal. And we were going to start doing this. So the Marine, who only really had to run twice a year, became a runner for his dog. That's what I started to do. And during that time, slide please, we were able to find some really neat things. a new, renewed sibling bond. And my wife and I were so grateful to see these things happening as my son on the far right of that slide is on his rollerblades, on the oceanfront there with my sister behind the chair pushing Ainsley. At the bottom of the slide, it's cut off a little bit, but you can see Briley. She's there with, at the time, the second lady of the United States, Dr. Jill Biden. And she and Ainsley are going into the White House in the bottom left picture, and they're running on the ocean front. Briley wrote a book about the experience in the 6th grade. It was published and has now sold almost 10,000 copies. But that is not, again, part of the crux of my thesis today. It is to talk about the renewed sibling bond through finding our normal. Slide, please. As we went through this thing, we lived our normal, and we started to do these running things across America. And that became really special because of that positive energy that was at the starting line. It was just this amazing kind of feeling that everybody was included in getting a chance to do this athletic experience. It was our new normal, and we were living it, and we were loving it. Slide, please. As our new normal was evolving, so was Ainsley's diagnosis, so was her dystrophy. Her INAD was starting to take its toll as her scoliosis became much more of an issue. Her ability to even sit upright was challenged by this. Increased treatment, oxygen mask, flowing of oxygen in more often than we would have liked. The increased upper respiratory infections, and the decision in February and March of 2015 to sign a do not resuscitate and to go on to hospice. What a loud and just emotional and frankly mean word, I thought. Hospice. That's terrible. That's the end of it all. So I thought. No. What hospice provided for a year was this amazing safety blanket. This sisterhood of nurses and providers, and I use the word sister with intent, who would help us research things. I can't even look at the front table or I'll start crying. These ladies dedicated their everything to make us feel like Ainsley was the only person in the world. If I had a question, they would help me research that. They were supportive. They were the fabric of really us having this ability to continue to go forth and to find our new normal. And because of the diagnosis and the prognosis and everything and how it was progressing, Ainsley couldn't sit in her running chair anymore. So that means running is over. So I thought, but speaking with my great friends, the nurses at EDMARC, we did some research. We looked at some things, and we realized that, you know what? We can bring the pulse ox machine with us. We can bring the suction device with us. We can make sure that if she needs oxygen, we can put the mask on her by finding some portable units. And we'll adapt the chair to where she can recline more, slide please. And we'll make sure that she can keep living, adapting and overcoming. On hospice, she went on to run another 30 races to include her 100th race at the Marine Corps Marathon, a 26.2 miles. She ran with her sister. In the upper left there, she's running with her friends. You can see the oxygen, the mask is on her. She didn't need it in that moment because her pulse ox was over 92. It's because she's breathing in the experience of being out there and being included in running, just like any other athlete. We adapted, we overcame, we hung with friends, we continue to run and race. Slide, please. And we found a new normal in this journey. She inspired a movement across America, not the thesis of my story today, but it goes without saying that Ainsley is an inspiration that's led to 61 cities and 33 states across the country where inclusion athletics is happening, where Ainsley's Angels of America is making sure everyone else can have a chance to celebrate. Slide, please. It's pretty special for us to have lived that journey. And I don't come before you today to say that we want you to go out there and run, or that you have to go start a nonprofit or write a children's book in the 6th grade or do any of the things that I just said. But rather the idea is to cherish and find those special moments. And to say that EDMARC helped us in Ainsley's final year. Critical to us being able to find that normal and to find those moments. Slide, please. Those moments that I cherish as I look back on her life, and as I look forward to the future, the endless possibilities of this inclusion experience. continuing to happen. And to have her in this journey, even though she has left us in the physical, her spirit is so strong. I mean, she's here today. She's on every one of your tables. The front cover of the EDMARC annual breakfast thing, there with my lovely wife, Lori, during an EDMARC visit. You know, because Santa Claus came to our house. And we cherished that moment. EDMARC made it to where Santa Claus on a fire truck could come to our house because Ainsley couldn't get out of the house in December of 2015, some 58 days before she passed away. EDMARC made it possible for us to continue to run. EDMARC made it possible for us to not worry about detailed research on things to keep life moving, but rather EDMARC made it possible for us to cherish what we consider to be our special moments. Slide, please. Those moments that happen when I get to look back and see Briley running with Ainsley and my wife saying at the end of the day, EDMARC improved me and Ainsley's quality of life. What else can you ask for than something that provides quality of life in this day and age, which has oh too many challenges and oh too many very bottom parts of the wave of life. Slide, please. We had normal moments where we did have time to stop and smell the roses. Slide, please. We had those normal moments that ultimately took our breath away as we lined up at the starting line of big races across the country and went for a run with no concerns and no fears, just confidence, armed with the EDMARC family behind our back. Slide, please. Ultimately, we owe a debt of gratitude, of thanks to EDMARC and to everything that they provided. I mentioned those things earlier: safety blanket and professional, family compassionate. The day that Ainsley passed away, my wife Kyle called me to say, I think Ainsley stopped breathing. I was up in Quantico. I quickly made my way back home. And as soon as she hung up the phone with me, she called EDMARC. The first people to show up at her house were EDMARC. Not even nurses that were scheduled to come by, but the whole team. My wife wouldn't have made the decision to cut Ainsley's hair. My wife would not have taken the time to get an implant of Ainsley's hand. My wife would not have even thought about the realm of possible things that the EDMARC family told her that we could do in that moment. And when we showed up at that funeral home and found out that every single bit of those expenses were covered, it's because people believe in what EDMARC's doing. I had no idea it was the first ever hospice, pediatric focused hospice. I had no idea until today. It makes perfect sense. The shining beacon, an example of goodness that's being provided. It's so amazing, and we're so grateful. There's a pamphlet on a table over there from an article that I've written about our experience. And there was so many things, friends, that happened after Ainsley passed, quite frankly, that I had no idea were going to be so powerful in our grieving process. There's this thing called magic. My act of grieving instills courage. I stand before you today actively grieving 3 years after Ainsley has passed. But I do so with courage. I do so with confidence because of our experience at the EDMARC Magic Camp. My children are not in a position of continued depression today because they went to Peace by Peace. And they had a chance to grieve with other aged children. This is, again, something that EDMARC, with his partnerships, is able to provide to families even after the most difficult day of their life. And we're grateful for that. I think that that's my last slide. And I think that it's exactly 55 minutes after the hour. And I am grateful for EDMARC and for your attention. Thank you all.